What's happening, YouTube? Welcome back. This is a 4-player fixed cards game with 3 Grandmasters as well as 1 Master. In my most recent poll, 67% of you who voted wanted to see a fixed cards game for my next video, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. This game was also played with another Risk content creator known as Risky Phil, who is the orange player. If you want to check out his content, then I'll be linking that in the description of this video. So this was a very interesting game because it was played with people who we all know in the community. One is, like I said, Risky Phil. Another was Risk K9, who is a master rank player. And then there's another player who is playing as a Grandmaster rank player. The fact that we know each other outside of the game makes it even more interesting because we each know each other's playstyles, so we will be able to predict each other easily. I'm able to get to South America with only 1 border because Central America is taken with a blizzard. Phil got Africa and Red got Australia, leaving Risk K9 in the worst position and makes it pretty much guaranteed that he's going to be taken out first. And in fact, that's exactly what we decided to do and team up against him. Probably the biggest mistake he made was leaving Africa to Phil, because if you look at the position on this map, the only other options for him is either Europe or North America, but they are pretty impossible to get, especially in the beginning of the game when you're super weak. So by leaving Africa, he made it so that he became a target, because he's the weakest and he can't get a continent without a set, and by that time we are all getting more and more troops, the 3 of us, me, Phil, and Red. We will be able to attack him, teaming up on him and taking him out. Before that though, Red decided to attack me. I think his plan was trying to isolate me in South America so then I can be taken out first, but fortunately for me that didn't work out. I also had a set at 4 to build up my army and troops, and then I decided to, with the suggestion of Phil, to start taking out Pink's troops, Risk K9's troops, beginning in Asia and then continuing through North America and Europe. So I made sure to keep my emotions in check and not retaliate against Red. If I was an impulsive player, my first thought would be to attack the Red player after he had blitzed my army, but I realized that this is a good chance to team up on the Pink player, especially after Phil gave me the attack request to attack Pink. So we both decided to team up against him, as well as the Red player, who's also attacking Pink and making him really weak. At this point in the game, you might be wondering what Pink can do to survive, and to be honest, if I was in his position, there's not anything that I can do. It's just unfortunate that he was the weakest player. So what he decided to do was basically just give himself up and take one last attack, I guess, before he's taken out of the game by invading Africa, but it's too little too late because Phil is able to take him out and get his cards to trade in a set and then guard his border against me and then guard the other border against the Red player. So already in the first couple of minutes, even in the first couple of rounds, we have already narrowed us down to the final 3 players. And this is always the most fun out of these games, when it's the final 3. This is a time when players start teaming up against the strongest player, or two stronger players team up against the weakest player, so that they can take out the weakest player, one of them can, and then fight against each other in the 1 versus 1 after that. That's one strategy. And the other strategy, like I said before that, was the weakest players team up against the strongest player, and that is just to ensure that the balance of the game is kept in check and the strongest player doesn't become too overpowered. So that's two different ideas or tips that you can use, basic principles to try to win in the three-player game, endgame. So after taking out the pink player, Risk K9, Phil was able to take over Australia too, when Red decided to go for Europe. And I think that was a smart decision because he was the strongest, or at least we were equally strong, so he could definitely go for Australia at that point without worrying too much. And now in this position, I'm just trying to make sure that he doesn't go for North America too. That would be too much to let him hold. I also need to make sure that I have an army outside of South America. I don't want to get it blocked by either red or orange. At that point in the game, you might be wondering why I zoomed in on the 9 and the 5. It's because I remember Phil mentioning in his video on this game that he split the troops that way so that he can combine it into the 9, which I think is a pretty interesting way of distributing troops. So basically what he did was he split the 9 and the 5 so that nobody was going to be able to take down the 5, but then he still has a 5 next turn to fortify back and go back into either North America or Asia. At this point, I'm trying to tell Red to attack the orange player, but it doesn't seem very likely. So throughout this entire game, out of all the players, the only person who's really been on my side as my ally has been Phil, not anyone else. Like, I told Red to attack orange, thumbs up or thumbs down, he didn't respond. So now I'm trying to do the same thing with Phil. Should we attack the red player? Thumbs up or thumbs down. This time he did respond, unlike the red player, so hopefully we might be able to work together and then take out red and start fighting each other in the 1 versus 1 that happens after that. Unfortunately for me, it looks like orange and red are now working together. As you saw, the red player fortified his army next to me, and then on the next turn, Phil decided to take out my second main army, so now I'm completely blocked inside of South America. That was actually a really smart move. I didn't see that coming at all when he did that. Fortunately for me, at this point, red starts to attack orange. I think he realized that it's not a good idea just to leave me blocked while Phil is getting that many troops, more than us. So he decided to attack one of Phil's armies and then unleash my army so then I can use it against Phil if need be. At this point, Phil actually captures North America, and then the red player chooses to capture Europe. But then I realized that actually this is my chance to win. First, I chose to take out red, get his 5 cards, and then make sure to properly guard my borders against Phil. At this point, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to execute the 4 continents endgame strategy by holding 4 continents with only 3 borders. I saw this from a distance, and when it came to my turn, I realized that even though the troop count is really close, I might be able to hold on to the continents and get the advantage. Fortunately for Phil, he had a set and was able to break through, even winning the 2 against 1. So now it's going to be really close, but fortunately for me, I did have it set at 4, and then that pretty much turned the game so that I'm going to be able to win it and there is no chance for Phil to win at this point because I have a huge troop advantage over him. At this point, he can't do much. He can't invade me into Australia because he doesn't have enough troops to do it, even if he had tried to go for it. So instead of that, he tried to go for North America, but in a 1 versus 1, in order to win, you need to invade your opponent and not try to capture stuff. Like, you can try to capture a continent, but you need to make sure that you invade. Otherwise, they're going to get troops on their team and be able to invade you pretty easily, unless for some reason their army is blocked from invading you. But other than that, it's much more important to invade your opponents rather than trying to take a continent. So this was the final turn. I was able to finally take out Phil, and that was quite a very close match. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.